following message is being transmitted at the request of the Boundless PodTrap movie review and the guys of the BPT. What you are about to hear contains spoilers to movies. If you don't want to hear these spoilers, please disengage your listening device at this time. If you can't handle those with a possible differing view on a movie, you may also want to disengage your listening device at this time. Stay tuned for a movie review that only the guys at the Boundless PodTrap can give you.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Welcome, everyone, to the BPT Movie Podcast Review. This is episode 4004. Lonnie's deaf because our intro is super loud, and that's done on purpose to get your attention, to make you think that there's a missing child. But instead, there's just going to be three guys, except tonight, there's four of us. We have our first guest.
It's officially a 4G day,
our
boys.
BPT movie review. A good friend of mine. He's a good friend of Justin's. He's gonna be a good friend of Lonnie's, I guess.
We're gonna transcend tonight.
He'll show you his ass.
This gentleman has,
I'll show you my ass anytime.
This gentleman has been in almost as many of my movies as Justin has. Maybe you are.
Well, it's either me or Justin in your movies, or both.
Yeah. So we got John Marshall here. How you doing, John?
I'm good.
Well, that's our episode. Thanks for
Thanks for having me.
It wasn't that bad, was it? Yeah. So we got.
Yeah,
John
at least I got
here.
applause.
John, I would say that you are quite the movie enthusiast. I don't know if that's the word I want to look, but yeah, before the pandemic, I mean, you were seeing how many movies at the movie theater a week?
I mean, every Thursday we would go and watch the new releases that came out. I think when we looked at my movie pass or A-list, it was averaging 2 to 3 movies a week. So
you see a lot of movies, and even when you're at home, you watch a lot of movies. So
I'm more of a movie guy for sure.
You kind of reached out once you heard our first podcast and said, "Hey, is there any chance I could be on?" And now here you are.
And it only took him 3 fuck no's to say please.
Yeah. But yeah,
I'm wearing you down.
John.
Well, he went out of his way to buy some knee pads, so
I told him he didn't.
I got chapsticks and knee pads. So,
but yeah, John, like Justin, was one of the main 4 characters in Unemployed, comedy movie that I wrote and directed.
That's where I know you from.
That's like,
I'm the one that never had clothes on. Apparently,
do you guys realize that was 4 years ago that we filmed that?
It's ridiculous.
That's It seems like just yesterday, John was closing a door with his ass.
Improv, by the way, one take. I just want to put that out there.
With my little girls too, and my oldest laughed at that.
Nice. At least I can entertain. How old is she now? 4?
5.
5? All right. I'm moving up in the world. I'm entertaining 5-year-olds.
Demographics changing.
We are gonna get shut down quick.
You'll need to register here soon with me.
Again?
We are definitely going to. We were just talking before we started recording. We're gonna have John on our other podcast, so we can talk and reminisce of stories, because we got a lot of them from not only Unemployed but other movies we've done together. And John and I, we go way back.
Yeah, almost 25 years now.
You guys used to date?
Is it really?
Yeah.
25 years ago.
97.
My first memory of you was giving yourself a stunner.
Every time. He's got to tell everybody this story.
My first memory of him was him giving himself a stunner on my trampoline in my backyard.
My favorite memory.
And it was
of him.
awesome.
Giving himself a stunner?
Yes.
Yeah. He basically pretended like he got kicked in the gut, and then he jumped up and landed on his knees and flew back. And I'm like,
I was testing the springs.
I was like, what an idiot. And now here he is sitting 4 feet from me.
My favorite memory of him is
You even lived together.
in your chair looking over some of your content.
Oh, God. We'll save that for
That'll be the other one.
That's not for a movie review.
No, nobody.
But no,
nobody wants to hear that.
we had John here pick his movie, and he chose the 2004 movie The Terminal, starring Tom Hanks and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah.
And Stanley Tucci, can't forget him.
Yeah, can't forget.
He's an incredible character.
Directed by Steven Spielberg, who was at my work today.
Besides Tom Hanks and Catherine Zeta-Jones, like Zoe Saldana,
Yes,
Saldana.
Thank you.
She does not age, by the way.
No, and she's gorgeous.
And she's actually gorgeous, but she's probably, besides Hanks, the most well-known person on this cast, critically.
I think some people might recognize She McBride if if you've seen Waiting or Boston Public. If you guys remember that show.
I remember it. I don't think I've ever watched it.
No.
I don't think I ever watched it.
He was like the principal, I believe, in that one. But
Really?
I mean, he's one of those guys you see and you're like, oh, that guy.
The guy who played one thing I did notice about this was with Zoe and the dude who played Enrique is they're one of the first people who
Diego,
Diego,
He's
they're
so
one
pretty.
of the first people who kind of intertwined Star Trek and Star Wars as a romantic.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
And they both were in Star Trek and Star Wars too, which is pretty cool.
Interesting.
Wait, she wasn't in, or he was in.
She's in Star Trek.
Yeah, and he's in. That's what I was saying.
He's in Star Wars. Yeah, that's okay. I thought you meant using that because that's one of their main likes in the movie together.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the movie, let's read the synopsis here first. I'll read it here. So, when Viktor Navorsky, an Eastern European tourist, arrives at JFK in New York, war breaks out in his country and he finds himself caught up in international politics. Because of the war, the Department of Homeland Security won't let him enter or exit the United States. He's trapped at JFK indefinitely. While living at the airport, Victor falls for a flight attendant. She may have feelings for him too. But what good is love if Victor can't leave the terminal?
Oh, that's why they call it that.
You know, I'm just going to say, not knowing, when you first gave me a copy of The Terminal.
By the way, that was 11 years ago.
I never watched it and I knew nothing about it. I thought terminal meant he had some kind of terminal illness.
Terminal ending.
Yeah. I can see that.
So,
I can see that.
Now, before we get into the review, we're going to go around the table and we are going to give our rating of this movie. It's a 1 through 10 rating. 1 obviously means the movie sucked complete ass. 5 means it was a movie. It was good.
Decent.
It wasn't bad. It was decent.
Middle of the road.
And 10 means this thing was extraordinary. And I guarantee you somebody probably at this table is going to give it a 10 because we always do, because we're really good about giving
we haven't given everything. I think only 2 things gotten 10s.
2 out of 3 so far have gotten 10s. So
Passionate Darkly Noon got,
and you wanted to give
I did
it
not.
10. Yes, you did. Shut
no.
your shit.
I know that thing could have changed.
Did you not listen to it? Because I'm sure you were the only one that probably listened to your fucking.
I was wet the whole time.
Autobiography.
If you listen really close, you can hear them.
I wasn't even listening, and I was here.
I think at one time during that I was looking up desks on Walmart.com.
I was looking up dicks.
I used that.
That's how bored I was.
I used that to help me go to sleep the other day. So thanks, Justin. I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, so let's we'll start with Lonnie, then we'll go Justin, me, and then we'll have John give his.
You know, when I seen this movie, I think around when it first came out, shortly after I got out of high school. It's not my genre of choice. I'm not a big rom-com fan, but it's Tom Hanks, and he just has something that makes movies great, and it's got a great cast, like we said. It takes you back to a fresh 9/11 world where you were almost scared to be alive. Mm-hmm. So reliving that made you kind of appreciate the movie a little bit more. So I think I'd give it a solid 7.
Okay. Justin.
Kind of going off with that, knowing the technology that was happening around that time, pagers and et cetera, you weren't necessarily glued to your phone, so waiting for information to come to you. It can be a little bit of a challenge for newer viewers. I did really like it, but the thing with this is it when you put it on your shelf, it just blends right into the shelf. It is really good watching it, but not something that you're like, oh, I want to watch this now. So storyline, solid. The random quirks and stuff here and there from supporting characters. I like how it did kind of follow multiple storylines, but I think I would give it about an 8.2.
Okay, 8.2. Wow, that's very specific.
Yeah, that's super specific. I thought we only did the 0.5s.
Yeah, I didn't even. You're always with those fucking points. Something
they matter.
I'm gonna give this movie 8.05612.
I used to be like that though. I get it.
You don't use the pi system.
To finally
Dewey Decimal.
I had to finally just be like, okay, do the solid numbers or the halves, because I get too picky.
So do I round up or down? It's closer to 8.
It's closer to 8. We're gonna go the 8.2. I'll take the 8.
We'll just go 5.
All right, so like I said before, Tom Hanks is one of my favorite actors. This movie, bad-wise, I think that it was a little long. I didn't care for the ending that much. I think everything else in the movie was great, but the ending I thought was kind of like they could have been more to it.
Right. I have a whole thing about that later. We'll get into. Okay. Yeah. So I'm kind of glad you said that.
I am not a fan of well-known actors using accents. And at times I felt Tom Hanks' accent was very distracting and very annoying. But on the flip side, I thought it was a fun movie. I like the fact that it takes place in one location, and I'll get into it here in a little bit about the location story. And it's one of those movies that I feel like I could watch again and again, not like all the time, but I think it's a movie that makes you feel good, and it just has a fun vibe. So with that being said, I am going to give it a solid 7. So we got a 7, 8.2, 5, 3, 6, and a 7. Now let's hear what John thinks.
Okay, so I first saw this movie. TBS used to play it like constantly. You know how Turner channels kind of get with one movie, they'll play like 100 times. And so I saw this, and the first time I enjoyed it. You know, I'm kind of on the same lines as you guys, you know, this and that. It was about a 7. But the more I watched this movie, and this is a movie I watch, it's probably in the top 5 of the amount of times I've watched this movie, because I can just throw it on whenever. It's like you said earlier, Lonnie, it's a feel-good kind of movie. And so the more and more I watch it, I'm kind of a dick when it comes to movies, because I've only given 7 movies.
Just movies?
Ever. Yeah, right. We'll get into that in the next podcast. I've only ever given 7 movies 10 out of 10, but this is one of them to me.
You counted them?
Yes. I actually have them. I actually have a
finger slipped
an IMDb page that has my top 50 movies, but it's actually the second highest Tom Hanks. But considering who's behind it, Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks and Captain Zeta-Jones and Stanley Tucci, this is probably one of the most underrated movies, which is why I wanted to talk about it today, because I want more people to see it. I've never recommended this movie to somebody and have them come back and be like, oh, really, that movie sucked, you know? But like I said, the more I watched this movie, the more it got higher and higher on my top 50 list. It's simple, it's fun, it's good. I mean, we'll pick it apart here in a minute, but it's just good. And I actually have a quote here real quick of why Steven Spielberg wanted to do this movie. So it kind of piggybacks on what you were saying about the 9/11 thing. He wanted to do a movie that could make us laugh, cry, and feel good about the world. This is a time when we need to smile more, and Hollywood movies are supposed to do that for people in difficult times. Right. And I feel like this movie did exactly
hit its mark.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It took something that we wanted to be over. By 2004, we wanted to be back to our normal lives. Right. And that we're kind of living that now, being in the pandemic. But by 2004, we were ready. We were starting to heal. We wanted to be normal again. And this movie kind of showed a little bit of that, like, wow, we can start to be normal. We can forget about being scared. And this movie had both angles of that.
Especially with the setting being in an airport.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the place of fear at that time.
Yeah, so. Absolutely.
Right. But it kind of still showed you that with the drama of Tom Hanks's country, that the world can still go to shit.
Right.
And that's
it's kind of reflecting
part of life, yeah.
Here in America, we're kind of looking at our country as a place of crisis where it's also happening other places all the time.
Right. We're pretty selfish over here in America. I don't know if you
kind of, just a little bit. That's what other countries say about us anyways. Well, I remember watching this in theaters and remembering it, because I don't think I've seen it since then, but I think I remembered it differently. I thought there was a little bit more seclusion. I mean, it had that sense of desperation, which I loved, and you attached to his character, kind of going off of what Jeremy said. I'm kind of against that, like when certain actors try different accents and stuff. Yeah, he missed his mark a few times on here. Like, he kind of struggled finding a translator, I'm sure, and his wife is Bulgarian, so he kind of had that Bulgarian accent.
Yeah, his stepdad. He based his character off of his father-in-law.
Right. Basically. And the dialect was kind of like Russian, Ukrainian, Macedonian, Serbian. Like, it had different... It's supposed to be a fake language, Caucasian, but... I'm kind of for actors to try different things, to take that challenge, because that's what acting is. When they're nowadays, when the culture is trying to say, no, you have to put that person in the right part. It's like, well, they're not acting. They're just playing themselves then.
I agree with that. But at the same time, this was like exaggerated accent, and it was kind of like in your face. It was annoying at times, and not to where, like I said, it's not to where I like completely hated the movie and I dislike Tom Hanks. It's just like, I know one of your favorite movies is Inception.
Yeah.
And Leonardo DiCaprio's accent,
my favorite movie.
I fucking can't stand his accent in it. And Leo has accents in like almost all of his movies.
Leo doesn't really have an accent.
It's usually like a.
Yes, it
like
does.
No, not really.
Jersey. No, I think I'm thinking of.
I was going to say it's
like
it's like an East Coast accent.
He has an accent in every movie that he plays.
He does have a lot. Yeah, like The Departed and stuff. He has accents.
I do like, my favorite Leo movie is actually another Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg movie. Catch Me If You Can. Nice. I love that movie.
And I feel so critics kind of shit on this when it first came out, and I think it's because their last outing was only 2 years before this with Catch Me If You Can, and that was so good. And then, you know, he's also coming off Saving Private Ryan, these guys, you know, so when they did something simpler and feel good, critics are like, what the fuck is this? You know,
right?
But they like Munich for some reason.
Could be maybe thinking it's a cash grab, just something to put money in their pockets. Yeah.
So I will start off by saying this
real quick though.
You son of a bitch! He thinks he owns this now.
Well, no, I want to. Do you think that his accent was so jarring to you because you're just used to Tom Hanks?
Absolutely,
talking as Tom Hanks.
Absolutely.
Because the more I felt that way at first too, but the more I watch it, you don't even notice it. Like,
and normally I try to watch
it all the time.
I try to watch movies for this once, like a week, and then the next week I try to watch it. But I just, with things going on in life, I only got to watch it once. Which I figured it was a Tom Hanks movie, and I only need to watch it once, and I'm gonna like it. But yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. Is like, I'm so used to him with not having an accent,
just his normal Tom
it's
Hanks
just like, oh my god, I can't stand this.
I think they saved it though, because I mean, like, it's a fictitious country, Croatia, and how are you supposed to tell what is an authentic Croatian accent?
I think it was just more so that it, not the authenticity of it, more so just, like I said, how loud he was with it and exaggerated he was with it. I'm like, I don't know. But it fits the character. I get it.
Right.
It's confused. It's there for the
Payless shoes, sensible heels.
No, but I was going to say, are we done, Master? So
what I was getting, no, go ahead. I'm just joking.
So Steven Spielberg, you know, he traveled all over to airports to try to find a location to film this at, but no airport was willing to give up that amount of time and stuff. So he
created set.
They found a air hangar outside of LA or in LA, and they built the set. And at the time, I know maybe it still is, but it was the biggest interior set ever built. And I mean, I watched the behind the scenes thing of it. It is fucking crazy. I mean, anybody else watching it thought they filmed this inside a real,
bigger than a Transformers set
at the time.
But I don't know. I've seen
it had fully functional equipment too.
And they incorporated that spider cam that they use in the NFL because it's such high ceilings in this hangar. And they got a lot of swooping shots.
And that was the first movie to do that.
Mm-hmm. And that was, to me, one of the things, too, that gave it a higher ranking was the cinematography. There was so much movement with the camera, but it wasn't, like, disorienting or anything like that. It was just, everything flowed so well. And, like, the different level, like that borders, how there was, like, 3 levels to the borders. And they used that borders. And, I mean, just, there were shots from down low going up. Cinematography, all that stuff was amazing, and hats off to the guys that designed that set, because to being a empty big ass hangar to that, amazing.
Yeah, it had to piggyback on that. It had 3 fully functional escalators. Most of the places like Burger King and Sbarro and stuff like that, they had fully functional kitchen equipment too. Like, that's just amazing to me. It
is. I mean, they might as well have just opened it for business and made it like another.
It was also up to full earthquake construction codes too. Like, that's insane.
They probably have to be.
Yeah, especially in LA. But the studio went out and got, you know, like Hugo Boss and Burger King and Borders and stuff like that. But some people heard about it and they wanted Sbarro, Payless. They were like, "Hey, can we pay to be in this movie?" Basically, and
yeah, it was Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks same attack.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think this one's gonna be a flop.
I don't want to do that at all. There's actually, when you're talking about the spider cam and stuff, there's a great shot at like 11 and a half minutes that just kind of shows the whole airport. And it's just like, I paused it there a couple times because it's just, like you said,
it's a piece of work. It's art. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and you have to think too, from a filmmaker's standpoint, that big of an area, the amount of fucking extras you have to have there. Because it's JFK in New York, one of the busiest fucking airports. That thing has to be packed.
Right.
That had to be a nightmare, but at the same time, so rewarding once you saw the final product of it.
Now,
passengers though, and like employees and security, like all those extras had to be there. Like that is just amazing to me.
But
Cleaning
again,
crew.
But again, they're in LA.
Yeah.
And it's Steven Spielberg movie.
And
I'm
Tom
sure
Hanks,
they just put a casting
extras.
call, and there was probably like 8 million people.
I don't know who
outside.
I'd have to blow, but I would be an extra in there.
pay $50 to be an extra
I'll
on
pay
this
you
movie.
the extra.
And you know, watching it from a movie watcher standpoint, and this might be preemptive talking about it, but Stanley Tucci's character, the Frank Dixon character, one of the things that I watched and kind of liked about this movie, but a lot of people, it's probably going to be one of those hot takes, but the Frank Dixon character is a very Walter Peck type character. And I make that reference saying basically everything he was doing was correct, and he should have been doing it. Just like Walter Peck's character in Ghostbusters, everything he did was right.
He's going by the code.
He's going by the code, and everything he did was right, and it happened. So
most everything. He did put hands.
Right. Frank Dixon in this movie, he wasn't doing anything wrong. He might have dicked it up a little bit.
Oh.
But he was just going by the book. He was just doing his job. So like the antagonist in this movie wasn't really a bad guy through the majority of this movie. So it kind of makes that antagonist-protagonist mentality weird. Like you don't know who to hate. You don't know who to love.
And that's brilliant writing and brilliant character development.
Exactly. So like in a scenario wise with Tom Hanks and Diego Luna and Kumar Plana and Barry Henley, like they can almost in a way be seen as an antagonist themselves, them getting together and doing all these things. And it kind of touches on it later in the movie where he's calling them out on these things they're doing. Like they're legitimately
poker and stuff like that.
They're legitimately breaking the
rules,
law. Yeah. So it's like you're conflicted. Like you don't know who you're gonna root for, but it's a rom-com. You're supposed to like Tom Hanks. You're supposed to like Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Even though she's an adulterous whore.
Yeah.
Right.
And that comes into play
I
later
hated
in
her
the movie.
at the end of that movie.
Absolutely.
I'm like,
But they did have
like she
really
gets her
good
comeuppance.
flirty chemistry between those two. And I really enjoyed those scenes with those two because...
Especially all the Napoleon talk and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it kind of it creates more.
I mean, they kind of took liberties with history there with some of that stuff. But, I mean, let's not get into that. Who doesn't at this point in movies? But, you know, I really enjoyed Stanley Tucci a lot in this movie.
Absolutely.
I thought this is one of my favorite Stanley Tucci movies because you can tell he just enjoyed playing this character because he, like you said, he's not wrong.
No, not at all.
He might not have empathy, but he's not wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean?
but he also has the pressures too, because this is post 9/11, so it's just like, you know, you can't.
And
be
he's
as,
trying to prove he can get this job because he's technically the temporary guy in this movie until because the other guy's stepping down because he bought it was a boat or whatever.
It's like there is a point of weakness where he is in the wrong, where he is being aggressive and being the bully and stuff like that. And it's like he was trying to persuade in a certain way that made it kind of negative, but for the most part, he stood back. He was behind the screen.
Yeah.
Right. He was giving him every opportunity to make a mistake, but he wasn't forcing him to make a mistake. It's like he wasn't pushing him out the door. He just showed him where the door was and told him, hey, there's 5 minutes worth. He knew every repercussion, what would happen if he walked out the door. So it's like the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden. You know what's going to happen if Eve eats the apple. She was just persuaded into eating the apple.
I love the scene where he explodes the bag of chips all over Tom Hanks. And Tom's just
like, he didn't react to that though. It's like one of the things
of things that Tom Hanks didn't react to that was super hilarious. But yeah, that's one of them.
It's like him arriving in like this foreign land with no concepts of language, and most people, they try to be like non-confrontational when they're first getting by, when they're trying to adapt, or they're more agreeable. And he's kind of like lost and confused. There's like loose notions of understanding, but he kind of still struggles. And I thought they did kind of a horrible job with like Frank Dixon and what's it, Thurman? Yeah, Thurman, played by Stanley Tucci and Barry Shabaka Henley. I think they did a horrible job making things clear for him at first.
Oh yeah,
it's like you guys could have tried a little bit more of that, like using hand gestures or something like that.
Find a translator or something too. I think they do mention something in a later scene that they like still couldn't find a translator.
Right. But I mean, like, if they used him for Russian, they should have known that they could have used Russian for
Google Translate.
Yeah. But like within the first
2004,
within like the first 15 minutes, they did like an excellent job capturing how alone he is in the universe.
Right.
Like the crisis that just kind of befell his.
Especially when he's trying to call.
Yeah.
Go phone, please.
Yeah.
You know, like
there's a crisis that just kind of befell his people. Like his country is in ruins, and he's surrounded by like hundreds of people, yet he's still alone in a crowd. But yeah, he can't talk to anyone.
And even being in that scenario, like, yes, he has his breakdown moments when he's seeing his homeland being destroyed, but even being in 100 people, not being able to communicate with them, he was so joyous being there.
Right.
Even before you know what his ambitions are, he's just happy to be in America. And
right.
He has that kindness, and even within it's still like a struggle. Like he's like there's violence all around, like in his country, and he's struggling to find like refuge with the food coupons. But stepping away for a second to help this person, he's kind of like shat on a little bit.
It made me so sad when he's sitting there like putting the ketchup and mustard on crackers because his food vouchers got thrown away or whatever. And then like he gets up and that guy bumps him and it falls onto the floor. I'm like,
fuck, man.
Like somebody buy this motherfucker a cheeseburger.
And everybody's
staring
watching
at the leftovers on that table, like thinking.
But he's so good that he doesn't. Yeah.
He's just the benefit of the doubt. He literally gives everyone the benefit of the doubt.
Do you think it would be fun to live in an airport?
I have something in here. I think it would be super fun for a week.
I was going to say like a week or like 2 weeks or something.
And then I'd be like, nah, fuck this.
Because it's
if
just
I
like
eat one more Sbarro fucking slice of pizza.
There was
stab somebody.
When he goes to that terminal area where it's like under construction.
Right.
And it's like just the way he like sets things. I was like, that
makes
would be
his own bed.
That'd be kind of fun.
Turns that vending machine into his own personal fridge. Like that was awesome.
For someone who spent a lot of time in airports, you guys are fucking insane.
Oh, I hate airports. Like I hate airplanes, but I think that'd be kind of fun for like a week to do that.
Like I said, a week. No more than a week.
But it would
6 hours.
It would have to be that specific one in the movie.
Yeah,
I just love the setup and the layup of everything.
That fucking Epley, I'd be like, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of opportunities. Like even himself, like his ingeniousness, like teaching himself a different language by using the opportunities around him, just comparing and contrasting two different books to understand something.
And apparently that's pretty accurate too, learning that language like he was. Because I was like, how accurate would it be? Because he spends about 9 months in the airport, in this movie anyway. This is based off of a true story where a guy spent 18 years.
I was going to say, 18 years.
18
in 1
year. Yeah,
Wow.
in one airport. I got some facts here. We'll go to her in a second. But I looked into that, and somebody who, I can't remember what they're called, the people that know language. I have it written down somewhere, but whatever. It's pretty accurate.
Like
the amount
bilingual
of time
people?
it took him to teach himself a second language.
Linguists?
Bilinguist.
Thank you. That's the word we're looking
Or
for.
trilinguists? Just linguists.
Just linguists,
Before we move on, remember when we used to be a country that other countries were happy to come to us?
Yeah.
Right.
I remember.
Now
it's depressing. We're all
back in the
Now we're all depressed again.
back in the nothings.
Yeah, I wanted also to touch on like the Star Trek, Star Wars. So I thought it was
You better watch your tongue before you get too deep into this.
We'll be all right. So I thought it was a pretty funny coincidence that Zoe Saldana's like character of Officer Torres, she's like going to star conventions as Yaman Janice Rand, who is the good friends of Uhura, which Saldana did play in the Star Trek universe, which her favorite episode is Doomsday Machine, which is roughly the synopsis of this movie, minus the science fiction, and also Enrique calls her a stallion, something to be broken so he could ride, much like her Navi role, where she must Neuralink to a mountain banshee to create a bond.
Who the fuck thinks of that? Holy cow.
This fucking guy.
There we go. Facts of the day.
Day 3.
Gorchitsa.
So yeah, this is actually just based on a true story. In 1988, this guy Maren Nasseri, and he's an Iranian refugee. He landed in Charles de Gaulle Airport. I can't speak foreign languages, guys, in case you knew that. It was near Paris after being denied entry into England because his passport and United Nations refugee certificate had been stolen. So French authorities wouldn't let him leave the airport. He remained in the terminal
a stateless person with nowhere to go. He has since been granted permission, but he refused to go back. He wanted to live in this airport until he got ill in 2006. And actually, 2003 is when Steven Spielberg bought the rights for his story for $250,000. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
Pocket
that's it.
change.
$250,000. Now, granted, most of this is just a loose interpretation and based on what he was going through. Like,
I was going to say, Spielberg didn't want to do like an exact.
Yeah, because there was a previous movie in the early 90s that was basically a documentary on him.
Right.
And so Spielberg, he used, I can't remember the writer's name, but the writer who he just worked with on Catch Me If You Can to kind of pen a similar, based on a true story kind of, and it worked out. I mean, there's some things I would cut out, but we'll get into that in a minute, in your what we would do differently segment. But
Justin, any other?
Yeah. There was a part where he says, Opa. That was cool. No. No, Opa is popularized in Greek, but used in many languages like Italian, Croatian, many Slavic languages, and it's an expression of shock. So he was shocked. That means nothing. No,
the part where he that part out.
The part I thought one of the bad parts that kind of also pulled me out is like when he slipped on the water, whatever. It's like it was totally forced. It's like he walked up into it and jumped.
Oh, there's a few force.
Like, come on, you could have done that again.
That part where, so speaking of Stanley Tucci being a dick earlier, when he hires the liaison to pick up all the carts, so Victor can't get the quarters anymore.
Oh, that pissed me off so much.
Didn't it? Like, oh my God.
Why?
That's when you really, I think, start to hate Dixon, like the full character. Like, okay, he's really going out of his way now to kind of.
I mean, how many fucking carts did he have at that point?
He had like 30.
Right.
But no, that first time when he pushes them all in and the quarters like shoot him in the face.
It does. Yeah.
I was like, that's a Jeremy Lubash skit in one of his movies, right?
That is the definition of a money shot.
Yeah.
Touche, Lonnie.
Touche. There was another scene that I was like, this is totally Jeremy, but I can't remember what it is. I'll find it in my notes here in a second to be like, interrupt you probably.
Lonnie, what do you got?
I know we talk a lot about his accent and how crappy the accent was.
I don't think it's that bad, honestly.
It kind of took me out of the moment a little bit because Tom Hanks has such an iconic voice.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. He's Woody, for Christ's sake.
Right.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Like,
there's a snake in my boot.
Even in his earlier movies, like if you think about Money Pit and you think about The Burbs and movies like that, when he was less of a known commodity, he still had that iconic voice. So the movies that he does an accent in, it doesn't feel like you're watching a Tom Hanks movie. His acting is perfect.
I mean, I kind of understand maybe where you're going with this. Like, to me, I don't like watching horror movies that have well-known actors and actresses in it. I like watching those horror movies where it's a cast of young people that you don't know because you're not attached to them. You're not thinking of them and other things that they've done.
Just turn that part off.
You can't. I can't.
Hit your head against the wall.
There are certain actors I can't do that with. Like Daniel Radcliffe is Harry Potter. Like, he will never not be Harry Potter.
It's like, use your fucking wand, dude.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I'm so, like, kind of like long lines. Tom Hanks, like I said, I'm just so used to, he does have an iconic voice.
Right.
And then when he's doing something like this, you had said, it's great when actors try different things. But even at that point in his career, what was this?
2004.
16 years ago.
Talking to a ball.
I mean, he was still iconic back then. He doesn't need to do something like that. But I think he was just doing it because it was fun.
Well,
I'm assuming that's why
they both wanted to do this movie. They just wanted to do a fun, feel-good movie.
And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, that kind of was one thing I didn't like. It just took me away from it.
Right.
And at times.
I think two of my favorite things about this movie, like my favorite scene is obviously the camera scene. I love the fucking camera where he's trying to dodge and shift and whatever.
And it's quirky stuff like that that push it to a 10 for me.
Right.
That is just so fun to watch.
As mad as you are of the things that are happening, you're like, that's clever.
He's like,
him,
stay.
Him and Gupta, like his first line,
so great.
His first line was his last line. Do you have an appointment?
Do you have an appointment?
Yeah, and like not only that, but like his little things that he's doing, like at the date scene where he's just like juggling shit. I'm like, this guy.
I looked away for a second at that point, and then also I looked back and he's juggling rings. I'm like, what the fuck?
You know, he really can juggle.
Yeah.
Like that's,
Yeah.
I think he was a carnivalist or whatever at one of his, when he was in India.
In that scene where the second part in time when he juggles and he drops the plates, they just kept that in there. Like he literally did that, and they were gonna cut, but nobody broke.
The Biff works. Yeah.
I like when Diago has their bread and he just like throws it.
Oh my god! I forget that happens almost every time, and I just like audibly.
And what is he? Doesn't he say like "there you go" or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. So funny. I remember what the other Jeremy Lubash joke was. It's when they're playing poker and the finale. They're playing for Cher's panties, and so they like explain, it's Cher's panties or whatever, and then at the end, Victor's just like, "So we share the panties." She McBride's like, "I ain't sharing." I was like, that's something Jeremy would write for like me and Justin to say to each other. Real quick, speaking, I'm gonna take over for just a second here. If that's
Go right
okay.
ahead if you're comfortable with it now.
Speaking about Tom Hanks, we obviously all are pretty big fans of Tom Hanks here. Where would you rank this, or like compare it to in your Tom Hanks favoritism? Like, first of all, what's your favorite Tom Hanks movie, and then like where would you kind of put The Terminal?
Ooh, that's the tough one. Favorite.
We'll start
Tom
with
Hanks.
Lonnie because I know. Okay, we'll start with Lonnie first.
So my favorite Tom Hanks movie, Tom Hanks is probably in maybe 10 minutes of it total. My favorite Tom Hanks movie is Radio Flyer.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's a deep cut.
Yeah, that movie is fantastic. It's just, so I'll pick something else. My next
We'll
favorite
edit that out.
My favorite Tom Hanks movie probably would be Money Pit.
Okay.
You fucker.
Just because it's so fantastic.
I have two, and that's one of them.
Yeah, you can have multiple. I feel like if it's Tom Hanks, how can you really pick?
Right.
those?
Yeah.
Okay, then
Like everything.
I'm gonna
was-
have three.
Out of those 7 movies, I'll get to mine in a second. Go ahead, Lonnie. I'm sorry.
It's great. Where this movie would fall on my list of Tom Hanks movies, I'm not a big rom-com fan, and the accent, I'd probably put in negative 50%.
So the bottom half of your Tom Hanks movies?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I can't exactly.
What's a middle of the road Tom Hanks movie for you then? Just so I can kind of gauge in my
right.
mind.
Saving Private Ryan.
Oh wow, we are two different people.
You are.
Which is good. This is, obviously
That's
why.
what's the fun of this
exactly.
podcast.
Which is why I wanted to be on this podcast.
If we're all just like, oh yeah, I like that.
That's
I agree.
great. I'm kind of so
agree.
action movies and rom-coms are pretty much equally towards the bottom. I'm not a big action guy, and I'm not a big rom-com guy. And it's weird because
I'm more of a fan than I want to admit of rom-coms, but I find myself watching them all the time.
If it's well written.
Yeah, it depends on it.
And the actors have a big part of that too. Like
Right.
you have to have charismatic people, otherwise the rom-com's gonna just
There's
be
some things I
absolute
watch
shit.
and I don't care about, and then it'll weigh on my mind. I'm like, fuck, I do care about that. That's But no, I don't know. I am a big fan of Catch Me If You Can, but I don't think it's because of Tom Hanks. I really like Leo's character in that, but he's in that. But I maybe would have to say Castaway because it's a one-man show for the most part, and he puts everything into it. There was no walls up, I guess. He let everything down.
There was basically no script for dialogue either.
Yeah.
He kind of just did his own thing.
I think sometimes not having the dialogue, just showing the movements, showing the desperateness and stuff like that. Kind of how he is in this one. Like I said, this one is kind of easily forgotten unless you're watching it. Like when you're watching, like, oh my God, he's good. Like he's good.
Yeah.
But like I put it up there as an 8 if you're watching it. But like I said, it blends into your collection. Like it's like, there's better ones.
So where does it kind of fit in some other, like, I'm trying to just kind of gauge your.
I would say
Hanks
it's just above middle of the road.
Above what?
Above middle of the road, Tom Hanks.
Okay.
So since Lonnie said The Money Pit, that was one of mine. But for a comedy, Big. That's always a classic. That's like, as a kid, I watched that movie so much, and I just love that movie. But I would also say The Green Mile.
absolutely.
Probably.
Oh, that's my number 2.
Probably my favorite Tom Hanks.
That's
movie.
how you and I actually got on this topic
When we were on-
11
when
years
we were on
ago
death
when
row.
I was going. No, 11 years ago when we were talking about Tom Hanks, and you were like, oh, I really love The Green Mile. And I was like, oh, I've never seen that. And I was like, I really love The Terminal. And you're like, oh, I've never seen that. So we exchanged movies.
And you actually watched mine.
I actually watched Green Mile.
And gave it back.
And gave it back. I even told you, I was like, I rebought it since and bought it on digital.
He watched both of the VHS. And
But yeah, no, Green Mile, it's great because it's a sad story. It tugs at the heartstrings. But it also throws in the comedy in the right places. Right. I think that's like one of the most well planned out, throwing in comedy here, but then we're going to take it back down over here. And it's also one of those things like it's so outlandish, like that would not happen, but you believed it would happen and everything. So I think Green Mile is my actual favorite Tom Hanks movie. And I would rank The Terminal probably be, it'd be up there. It'd be close to the top. I'd probably rank it
top third, maybe top 4.
Nah, like not that high. I'd say
percentage wise, like the top third of Tom Hanks movies, or you know what I mean?
Probably top third. Yeah, I'd put it like along with like The Burbs and stuff like that. Like it's a fun movie.
You guys are huge fans of like older Tom. I feel like I'm more newer.
I think so. Me too.
The problem with Tom
Toy
Hanks,
Story?
The problem with
franchise?
judging Tom Hanks
that's the greatest trilogy. Well, now 4, but it was the greatest trilogy of all time.
Plus, there was a
Back
side.
to the Future.
A short film, I guess I want to say, wasn't there?
There's a lot of short films for Toy Stories.
Yeah.
Right.
What were you saying?
The problem with Tom Hanks movies, though, his good movies are all 10s. So when you're talking about a 7 in Tom Hanks, it's going to be towards the bottom.
Are you ranking them for him, or are you ranking it for like Stephen King's writing? Or
no, just anything Tom Hanks is in. So many of his good movies are 10s. And then you get into the 9s and you get into the 8s. It's almost unfair calling something a 7 because it's going to be towards the bottom.
Yeah. Well, like Catch Me If You Can is another one that's at the top of my Tom Hanks list. And it's funny because he has an accent in that, and I don't mind it. I think it's a little more realistic to me.
You just don't like it when it's a foreign accent because you're racist.
And how many times have you watched Catch Me If You Can?
Oh, probably like...
Exactly, that's what I was
over
kind of
a dozen
about earlier. Like,
but it's because of the cleverness of Leo's character.
You just get used
really
to it, the accent.
Yeah. Well, even the first time I watched it, I don't think I really was annoyed. I was annoyed kind of by Leo's accent.
Leo is my favorite actor, but I'm super annoyed for the first 5 minutes of every movie he's in because, like you said, he has some kind of an accent, and it's like I have to get used to that, and like my brain has to get used to it. I'm like, wait, you just had like a South African accent in Blood Diamond, and now you have a Boston accent in The Departed, and now you know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't think he's that good at a lot of his accents either. I think it's kind of amateurish.
He's amazing. So.
That's why I had to stop. That's why I had to stop
Take a shower, Gilbert. Take a shower, Gilbert.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's why I had to stop watching Russian porn. They just moan different.
So Leonardo DiCaprio is my favorite actor, but Tom Hanks is right behind him.
Ooh,
and so when I said I had 7 movies that I ranked 10s, 2 of them are Tom Hanks movies, and my favorite Tom Hanks movie is, this is why we're so different, because my 10 is your like lower end. Saving Private Ryan is in my top 5 of all time.
Saving Private Ryan, like I said, it's a solid 7.
Yeah.
But that's what I was saying, like his good movies are all 10s. Some of his better movies are 9s, and then his okay movies are 8s. Like Tom Hanks isn't an actor where like, oh, he made a 4,
right.
Oh, he made a 3. So like quote unquote bad Tom Hanks movie is still a 7.
Yeah.
They're good. We're not discussing like, oh, this is an Adam Sandler movie. It's a -5.5.
Don't even bring him up right now. We're talking Tom Hanks, okay? They're not even in the same category.
Even the worst of Tom Hanks movies is going to be better than a lot of other people's movies. I love Saving Private Ryan. It's an amazing movie, but
it's a 10 to me. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Saving Ryan's Privates was better though.
That got an 11, and I'm not talking. Never mind.
I got a 12 from me.
But yeah, so Terminal ranks right behind that for me, up there. When you guys were talking about older, like Big and Money Pit and stuff, I think the oldest Tom Hanks movie that's in my top 10 of his is probably Philadelphia, because
I've never seen that one.
A lot of mine are newer. You know, I love Catch Me If You Can. Like I said, that's 2 of my favorite actors. How am I not going to like that? It's 2 of my favorite actors and Steven Spielberg. Like, what's not to like about that?
Knock, knock.
But yeah, Terminal is, I feel like it's definitely Tom Hanks's most underrated. And this is what, like I said, this is why I want to talk about it, because I feel like nobody even really knows about this movie if you're talking about Tom Hanks movies. But like I said, the more times you watch it, I feel like the better it gets. So I'm curious to check back with you guys after a few more watches.
There's a few things that a few more things I wanted to talk about that was more along what I was
Saddle in,
looking for.
boys.
So like this, getting back into this movie, like the can of peanuts was kind of an ode to his father and who was a jazz enthusiast. Victor ultimately was the messenger in this movie. He was trying to return the signatures, which is a symbol of one's identity for his father in his can of peanuts. He also served as the go-between.
He said peanuts, guys.
Peanuts. He also served as like the go-between between Enrique and Dolores, which was successful. And he was also the translator to help a man keep his father alive, which was also successful.
Medicine for God.
He was
He said good.
He said go.
he was a larger message
Make mistake.
throughout the airport's employees, whom all had posted his copy paper handprint. And to circle back to the blaringly obvious symbol earlier on when confronting Frank Dixon in his office, he was this large fish in a small pond where he brought the fish in.
You don't like fish.
Yeah. And he was a man of eminent virtue and kindness, and kind of like reverting back on the other side of that. Like Frank Dixon gives Victor Navorsky an ultimatum against his friends at the end. He pretty much tries to turn them against, saying he'll fire them because he's not going to return back to his country. So he's kind of a man so disconnected no matter the guidance he received from his respected superior. He is highly medicated, Frank Dixon. He's crossed a few too many lines himself, yet he can't see the irony, and he pulls down the small fish, which is kind of noting his insignificance under the guise of a badge. Just a small man in a big room with a lot of screens, his fingers kind of behind the camera. The controller gives him the sense of so imposed power, but those below him refuse to follow his order. So Victor is the big fish and he's a small fish. I liked how they kind of grasped to that symbology, that imagery.
Wow.
Yes.
I like it. I told Jeremy earlier, I was like, I'll be impressed if you could find some bullshit about this, but
there's a few more bullshits in that.
He's only on day 2.
Like, I think the main symbology I gleaned out of this is it's kind of like the ability he has when it comes to building with his hands. Like he's making things, he's building things, and there isn't really too much he can do despite the instruction of staying put. Like he's supposed to be under the order of Frank Dixon, like you need to stay here, you need to stay there. And so while he's there, he's trying to build, he's learning things, he's developing his language, he's making the other terminals. He can't return home or even adventure out. It seems like he's been reinventing himself. The structures, when the light panel falls off, he does what he can to reinforce it, to turn the light back on. And by the end, he has the audience of workers behind him in wonder. When the water takes issue after his date with Amelia, he does what he can to reframe it and get those pipes working smoothly. So he's pretty much the pipeline, the messenger. Do you want me to keep going?
I'm getting John because this is his first time experiencing this live.
live, yeah. I've heard it through my laptop and cell phone.
There was like a little
Justin's nonsense.
Hey, it's not. This is hardcore shit. You gotta pull it out.
It's experience.
Yeah,
I shit it into my hand and I polish it off for you guys.
Exactly.
I kiss it, smell it. It smells good, huh?
Can you?
Yeah. There was a part where they also said like all roads lead back to Rome, but walking those roads back can be kind of a wonderful stroke of luck, like the airport workers did, where they devised a little plan to get her into his lap. I kind of like that. She was coming from Rome. And then they kind of made her do like this little, it was a wonderful, like a magnificent little dance for him.
I feel like it was kind of unnecessary, honestly.
It was unnecessary, but it was beautiful. It was like
it worked.
For the guy, like
the quirkiness of the story.
Yeah, for the guy like Victor, who's trying so hard to not only be understood in a foreign world, and everything just kind of falls into his lap. This whore.
But that was way too much work. He could have just been, you want to dig? Yeah, you want go bathroom and dig?
Check.
I met that guy at the airport.
And you went with him
Twice.
What I didn't like about do you have like a special knock? What's this hole here for?
I'm poor man, but rich in dick.
I'm telling you what, if he was stuck at Omaha Eppley Airfield, he would have been fucked because there's nothing to do there.
Right? I can look at corn.
I catch Pokemon.
Is that Carter Lake?
I'm not even sure where your accent is going.
Oh, fuck.
Generally turns into...
I got a few more here.
Jesus.
I've got a fucking corn.
A few more like 3 hours ago.
But it was still under the
Chapter 36.
job thing. Right. So, like, Amelia, what did you guys? Homewrecker. Yep. I wasn't a big fan of her character. She played the part well, but
like I said, they had great chemistry together.
Yeah.
She's honestly, if you look at it,
she's a horrible
person.
Is it because of like the average guy looks at her like who's just a fucking goddess? You know, like, wow, you are just beautiful, and it's dangerous.
Maybe.
Well, in retrospect, would you want to hook up with a guy who is living in an airport?
To be fair, she didn't know that, though.
I'm not into guys.
Yeah, she didn't know that
today.
first.
She didn't know that at first until Dixon was like, hey, check out where this guy's
he's like all men. He doesn't tell the truth.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. She's writing off all men as though like they're liars, and he's like the most honest with them.
But
he's a truthful man there.
After that is when
he's one of the most genuine people in.
That's what I liked about it, because he's the one who created a fountain for her, and fountains is a symbol of joy and peace, and the water is the truth. But he gave her the truth.
Stop the crazy bullshit. Let me finish my sentence. But after that is when he shot his shot, and she's like,
"You can't handle the truth."
And they did the thing, and then she's like, "Here's your pass." And he's like, "You come with." And she's like, "No, I'm gonna get cummed on by this guy."
The guy that is married.
At the same time, I like that though, because it didn't have a happy romantic ending.
No, it didn't. No.
Which I feel like every movie feels like they have to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't need
I like that it left
It didn't need one. No.
I think sad endings or unexpected endings are usually better than happy endings, because it's more realistic.
I just felt like this movie didn't have an ending, in my opinion. I just think it just.
Well, I was going to ask you about the ending, but do you want to get into that with the things you would do differently? Because I feel like you would have a different ending.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have like a specific ending.
There's a few things I have in here too,
but I mean, I have a question. I want. Let's. You've talked enough for a little bit. Let's give you a break.
I waited till the 40-minute mark.
Asleep at this point. Lonnie, wake up.
I appreciate you, and I know you got a lot to say, but
you guys need to spread them out a little more.
I didn't start until about the 40-minute mark.
I'm going to ask you a question. It's kind of sidestepping off of the Terminal movie for a minute.
That's fine.
Again,
Tom Hanks.
What we're here to talk about.
Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is one of your favorite actors. And you said Leo's in front of him.
Right.
And they've done a movie together. What's one actor or actress, or how about which actor and which actress would you love to see do a movie with Tom Hanks that has not done a movie with him? Living or dead?
You.
Yikes. That's
not sanitary.
That's tough, because some of my favorite actors have, like Denzel Washington and Leonardo DiCaprio are two of my favorites, and they've done movies with him.
They died?
No. I said live or dead, you cracker.
Would you call me a cracker? We don't talk like that. We don't talk
it's on the list
here.
that Lonnie was talking about last week. That's a good question. Is that for
answer
everyone
it.
in the room?
No, just you.
Because I feel like I need to think about that.
I'm not going to answer it.
I mean, you can think about it. I don't know that they've done one, and maybe I'm stupid and they have. But has Tom Hanks and Robin Williams, did they ever do a movie together?
And that would be amazing, because Robin Williams was literally the only celebrity death that actually affected my life. Like
because it's like,
about that
I know they didn't do anything in recent times, but I didn't know if like maybe in Tom Hanks' earlier career, and
there's some like B-list movie that they like. No, I don't believe so.
Or wait, were they on that TV show? Not Mork and Mindy. Never mind. Tom Hanks wasn't on that, but yeah, I would love to see Tom Hanks.
Absolutely.
And Robin Williams in a movie together.
Steal that one. Are you guys Googling it?
Yeah, they all get on their laptop.
I would love to see. God, this is such a loaded question. I feel you put me on the spot here, Lou.
That's what we do.
But I like it.
Now people know my last name. God damn it. No, I'm just kidding.
Tom Hanks, and honestly, I kind of think that he and Ryan Reynolds could do a little something. Maybe a buddy cop movie where, Tom Hanks is more the serious and Ryan Reynolds is the goof off kind of guy.
It would have to be definitely a comedy then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't say, if I'm talking, I'm trying to think of an actress. I really love it. Emma Stone.
Who?
Emma Stone. I feel like those two together could probably do something.
See, you're doing newer age people.
Right. I'm trying to, because you already took Robin Williams, which would definitely be the answer to that question. But
him and Goldie Hawn would be a good
Goldie, that's so out of left field, but I love it.
You know what I would think? I'm a Gene Wilder.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Like, I think they have similar but just different enough comedic timing that I think they'd make a good duo.
Yeah.
What about you, Justin?
Throw John Wayne in there. Fuck it.
How does it go?
Have you seen that recent Tom Hanks movie where he it just came out, so probably not because nobody goes to the theater anymore, but News of the World or something like that? is very good.
Doesn't sound familiar.
It makes me want to watch Tom Hanks in a Western. Like,
That would be
I feel like he could do. That's why I say John Wayne. You know,
I think
maybe even a comedy with like Chris Pratt too. Like
Jackie Chan.
It'd be cool.
Robert Downey Jr. Like I could name 100 people.
to introduce Tom Hanks as a character in the Marvel universe.
I
don't
was
think so?
literally
He can
about
be
to
a
just
supporter.
say the thought crossed my mind. I said the only thing I wouldn't want to see him in is the MCU.
Really?
And I love the MCU. You guys know that. But I just think there's certain actors that shouldn't be in the MCU. And Christian Bale was one of those, so we'll see how he goes in Thor 4. But Christian Bale. I love Tom Hanks and Christian Bale. Give me a serious movie there.
I just looked at Tom Hanks's movies because I was curious what movie you guys were talking about. And
Is it The News of the World? Was that the one? It's very good.
let me keep looking here.
Should be.
Masters of the Air, In the Garden of the Beast, No Better Place to Die, beautiful. But he's in pre-production, and it was announced. One of my favorite books. He's the producer on a movie and the main actor in a movie. It was a book called A Man Called Ove, just Swedish book, and they're making it into a movie. Fucking fantastic book. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that's been released recently for him. The 2000s. Rock Hall of Fame.
So do you not
movies.
like, like You've Got Mail and Sleepless in Seattle and stuff?
Not
I didn't
really,
think so.
no.
Based on what you were saying. If I could think of like a rom-com for him though, maybe
Like, if it's more heavily based on the comedy and less on the romance aspect. Like, I liked, what's it called? The one with Jimmy Fallon and
Drew Barrymore.
Oh,
I literally just watched that.
I liked Fever Pitch.
4 days ago.
That was great.
That's a great movie.
I think anything with Drew Barrymore, I'm happy with.
Jimmy Fallon and Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks and Drew Barrymore. Fuck.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks just needs to work with fucking everybody.
Right. I feel like I remember. So I was going to say along the lines of Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail, a movie with him and Kate Winslet along those lines.
Yeah.
Like a rom-com like
Titanic 2.
that. Titanic.
There is a Titanic
There is a
too.
Titanic too.
Oh, I know.
And it's
It's
free
awful.
on Vudu and it's I
Back
watched
bees.
10 minutes of
Back
it and I
to
said,
the
not the
surface.
bees.
You know
These
what?
motherfucking bees on the Titanic.
I don't know if it's ever actually happened, but it would be neat to see Tom and Colin do a movie together.
Oh yeah.
Firth?
Yes, Colin
Firth? Okay.
Farrell.
Let's get back into the terminal.
Yeah.
So
Oh, is that what we were
we were speaking of Terminal.
We were talking
So-
about the ending though.
Yeah. I'm
So did you
wrapping it up here.
Okay.
So bear with me. The number
got
67, which is the terminal that he kind of waited at, in numerology, the number 67 resonates with focus, pragmatism, which he was. It has foundation for the future. The number 67 is highly focused on creating and maintaining a secure foundation for his family. And he was doing everything for his father. So it's conscientious, pragmatic, and idealistic. So 67 generally obtains answers from within, which he was kind of searching from within.
Sorry.
It's not
Two
obtained.
favors away from a 69.
Yeah.
So much bullshit.
When you truly love someone, you will be braver, stronger, and more willing to do even the things that scare you. And that's what he was doing. In dreams, the meaning of number 67 calls for you to determine in making your dreams a reality. It will not be quick and easy, but you can't make anything possible with determination. He waited in this movie 9 months at the terminal.
It was roughly 9 months.
And terminal is pretty much like a portal. 9 months. He's kind of being birthed into something new. So it kind of hinges barriers that
You okay
keeps something
there?
in
That
or
reach
out.
was
No, it's not. It's like an entryway to a place of significance, and psychologically, it may symbolize the way to healing and wholeness. The fulfilling of your destiny where you should be concentrating your attention and efforts.
I can't even take my headphones off to stop listening.
This is why I love this.
Yeah. All right, okay, so this is
the
something
most
real.
straightforward fucking movie we've
It's
ever
not,
watched
though.
in our lives.
All right, this is more of on tune here. So
Okay.
So Victor Navorsky, it's
bet
kind of
it's
much like
not.
it is.
The name
It is.
Victor.
You weren't wrong when I said I'd be super surprised. You're like, oh no, he'll find something.
Yep.
The name Victor in Swahili spelled backwards.
You rearrange the letters of Victor Navorsky. You can get on with it.
Right there, clear as day.
It's an anagram, and if you take out these letters and put these letters in, it spells apocalypse. So
But no, so Victor, kind of much like after what he was after the entire movie, trying to get the last signature from the last person who was alive for his father.
Which was so fucking anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was. But it was.
Got it!
It was his motivation for the whole thing, but it wasn't revealed until the very end.
He and Thanos, dude, right there.
Yeah. He was kind of following this promise to receive the last signature from the jazz musician. And that's what I think this movie was pretty much all about, because jazz is all about improvisation. It's playing to your own tune, and he colored so many lives with his own compassion. He played to his tune. He didn't stop. He was his own unique person, while everybody else was like their own robots, I guess.
But he conformed. He learned English.
That doesn't mean he
Plus,
learned broken
jazz
English.
has 2 Z's, which is what we're getting right now listening to this.
Shush.
I'm just kidding.
What else, Justin?
That's all I had.
Why would you ask?
Come on, big.
That's all I had.
Come on, big cat. That can't be it.
That's it.
Can't be it.
So if you guys are interested in, if you want to subscribe to my newsletter, you can follow me.
And if you want to,
If you want to subscribe to his newsletter, cut down some trees because you're going to need it.
if you want to get Justin's self-help book called "You Don't Want to Shoot Yourself."
Don't do it. You ain't got the balls, sucker.
Oh, my ears hurt.
Mr. Madison, what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point.
Oh god.
We are now.
We're gonna get that audio clip for this podcast. So
Thanks, guys.
No, that
Thanks.
was.
You were well.
we love you, Justin.
I have to give it to you. There was you probably got like a 6 or 7 inch longer reach on that one. You were stretching, bud.
Not so much.
Not,
You weren't listening for most of it.
You
so.
are. Fuck, bud. That
I'm not a fuck bud.
Not anymore.
my God. Like, we're gonna have to
It's
just watch a
simple movie
video
about hope and good in the world.
We're-
and
Yeah.
now
You didn't see
just-
all that?
We're gonna have to watch a movie like
No, I didn't see the birth of fucking an airport.
He was
or whatever said.
recreating himself, and that's what it is.
we're gonna have to watch a movie once that's just seriously like a dude sitting in a chair for 2 hours. Just
Be
to-
like,
I fucking get it.
the way he tied his shoes was.
if you see that chair, it's from Sears. And if you,
Thank you for your appreciation.
this is why this podcast is so great.
I'm not shitting on you for what you're doing.
It smells
I'm
like
shitting
shit.
on what you're doing. I'm not.
right.
I appreciate you. I just don't appreciate what you're doing.
I just want to know what goes through his mind when he's watching.
Oh
these
my God!
things. Like,
I bet when
I
he
see,
does
I
it,
see a
he's-
guy eating a sandwich, but he
Typing-
sees something completely
he's like
different.
typing one hand. He's like stroking himself off with how great he is with the other one.
Did you see how he stacks the
Got
crackers?
Crackers?
Crackers have 4 corners. Okay, so I got nothing. I'm sorry.
There's 9 holes. There's 9 holes in each cracker.
Don't delete
and when
that
the
off
How many
your
months
computer.
you spent at the airport?
Yeah, when the blood comes out of it, that's his bloodletting of his heart, and then the mustard.
Gorchitsa.
All right.
It's mustard.
Eat shit.
So,
Each
That's one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing.
what are we going to move on to now? What we would do differently?
Yeah, we would have Justin do a different segment.
Oh,
I like him.
Breaking.
You guys can hate on him all
Breaking.
you want.
who? Justin?
Dropping the crates.
I love watching him read.
I do too. This is he needs to do this every episode.
it's hilarious.
It's great. It's like we give him crap because it's more entertaining.
We give him
that
crap because
way.
we love him.
Yeah, that's what I
Feeling
feel.
hate. I'm gonna need a really long group hug by the end of this. I just been vaccinated.
the back.
Vaccinated.
Would you like to touch my dick? Will that cheer you up?
I thought that's what we were doing the whole time.
No, that's just me and you.
Whose dick is that?
So yeah, let's throw out the lights and play Whose Dick Is This?
I said that one of the things I hated was the ending of this movie. I just think it was. I don't hate it. It just I feel like it was a build up for nothing. And which is like the case with a lot of movies, I think, anymore. I don't know if it's something to do with if they film movies in chronological order and they're just running out of time, so they have to hurry the ending and change the ending or whatnot. But I just feel like there could have been more to it. You know, I know it's real life with him and Catherine's character. I forget her name, Amelia. But like, I felt like there could have been more with them. My other thing is, and I don't have like a specific person in mind really, but I think Catherine Zeta-Jones was a poor choice for this character. I think that there could have been somebody else better. Spitballing off the top of my head, you know, I think maybe like Winona Ryder could have been a better
Not in
character for
not
this.
in 2004.
No.
Well,
I feel like
she was shoplifting at that time.
Yeah, right. She plays the gorgeous person that you could also kind of hate, though.
Because she's foreign.
Well, no, because she's a whore.
I hate the character.
Because she's not really.
They don't like to be called.
I just don't think that she played the part very well. I think that she could have done better. Again, I don't know specifically who would have been better for it, but I think that, I don't know at the time in 2004 if Catherine Zeta-Jones was super popular on the up then.
She was.
She came off of Zorro.
I think that's probably why she was cast, because she was on the uppity up at that point. And
well, I heard that Tom Hanks also wanted to work with her.
Yeah.
This was the only opportunity they had at the time, and then he regretted it. No, I don't know if he regretted it or not, but I mean, definitely people I regretted working with.
That would be my change, is somebody else cast for Amelia.
I wouldn't change a lot about this film. I feel it's a little unnecessary. So at the end, when Amelia gives him the 1 day pass or whatever, but he has to have it signed by Dixon, and Dixon refuses to sign it, and then he threatens to deport everyone and fire everyone for what they're doing. I feel like that just was super unnecessary, because 20 minutes later, he lets him walk out the door, and he's like, no, we got planes coming, let him go, or whatever. I'm like,
yeah.
The moment of your redemption could have been, yeah, I'm going to sign this. You know what I mean? Like, there was no need for him to go and be a dick, because the whole movie he was not wrong.
Right.
Until stuff like that.
Right.
You know, and I was like, I just felt it was too much, only to redeem him 20 minutes later, you know, in real time. Like, it was like 2 minutes later in the movie, but
yeah,
that was the opportunity for the redemption for me. He could have just been like, you know what, after all we've been through, enjoy New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Also with like what Jeremy was saying, more blood. They should have crushed Gupta.
Yeah. Gupta should have been ran over by that plane. I'm going home.
Planes don't stop like that.
You have an appointment with the devil.
Yeah, Stanley Tucci. Frank never got his comeuppance.
No, at all.
Not at all. Like,
he got promoted. He got
a stern looking.
Everything.
He got a stern looking.
Yeah, and all he had to do was like grab a dude,
Ew.
jam his face into a printer in front of
Hand.
all his
And
superiors.
even right after that, his main boss guy was like, sometimes you have to ignore the rules. There's certain times where you can ignore the rules. So then when Victor comes into the office to get that signed, that should have been where it was.
That was his
should have been the
moment to
redemption.
like,
Yeah,
have
exactly.
his heart. Yeah. But yeah, he never got his comeuppance from being a dick the majority of the movie. I like the Catherine Zeta-Jones heel turn, but I think she should have not came back. Her just leaving with the dude, I think it should have ended there. Her coming back.
Oh, yeah, when he's getting in the taxi at the end? Yeah,
I think that was too, her coming back and then having that face as him going to get the signature. I think it was unneeded.
You could easily have done that as she's walking away with that guy. You know,
Right.
them look across the terminal at each other and had the same effect that it did at the end.
They dragged it out there.
Yeah.
And other than that, like, this movie is top billed as a comedy. I think it had way more of the drama and romance than the comedy aspect. If you're going to top bill it as a comedy, I think you need to add a little bit more comedy elements. Now, the comedy that was in it was pretty good and pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I think it was few and far between. Like, I think it was so based on, hey, look, Tom Hanks has a funny accent. Like, I think that's more insulting than humorous.
Yeah, I feel like it should have, at the beginning, it shouldn't have been so comedic.
Right.
They should have addressed a little bit more of like the severity of his, because he doesn't know yet. He's trying to like understand what Dixon and Henley are pretty much telling him.
Right.
And he's just like, yeah. Yes. Whatever.
Like, I think that insults the audience. Like, I think there's a demographic of people who enjoy that, but I think those people aren't going to like this movie. Like, I think this type of movie is going to, the elements of this movie, it's going to go over their heads.
Right.
But
I think when he finally found out what happened with his country, it crushed him. But I think if he was like more of a confused, confuzzled little state before time, like it would have just dropped him. I think that would have caught the audience a little bit faster.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, but his hopefulness, his happiness about being in the United States, that's very charming.
Yeah.
That's one of his redeeming factors. But I could have used a little bit more giggles.
Do you think he would come off as charming if it was played by anyone else other than Tom Hanks?
Absolutely not.
I agree. I feel like that was the perfect
It
casting
could've.
for this character.
Absolutely, yeah.
If Seth
Danny DeVito.
Rogen. Seth Rogen.
Hi.
Yeah, Seth Rogen. My country is at war.
Well, fuck.
Do you want to fuck or what? That's my worst Seth Rogen accent ever. But
I was going to say, I haven't seen it, but how they have the Snyder cut of the Justice League. And it's
the
like
Spielberg cut of...
I feel like with this movie, you could easily take, I think there's enough footage there and enough probably footage they cut to where they could cut the comedy out of it with different music scoring to it. I think they could easily make this. Yeah. I feel like that's going to start happening now with movies is you're going to get a different cut of it from somebody else. And I kind of like that idea. And I think this is one of those movies where they could do that easily. Right. And I think it might honestly make it a better movie.
Speaking of the score, did you guys like the score? John Williams?
It was 100%. I heard so Catch Me If You Can the whole time.
I heard a little bit of Catch Me If You Can mixed with like Home Alone.
I was going to say Home Alone, yeah.
There's a lot of clarinet in it, which actually the girl who did the clarinet, usually when you do solo stuff like that, you don't get credits in the end credits, but Spielberg was like, put her name in there.
Yeah, why
she
not?
did amazing, yeah.
A lot of the awards that this movie won were for the score. It won International Film Music Critics Award.
This is the only of the 5 movies they've done together that didn't get an Academy Award nomination.
Yeah, like
Really?
it didn't win anything major.
No.
The Golden Spirit Award for
Which is
Best
funny 'cause
Comedy
it's like one of my
Scene.
favorites. But.
Right. And that's the thing, like, it's those hidden gems that are amazing. One of my favorite movies of all time is Gleaming the Cube.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Is that about Justin's?
The biker movie?
Justin's head?
no, not at all.
Gleaming the Cube. Isn't it biking? Yeah.
No, it's skateboarding.
Skateboarding, sorry.
It's like you can say that movie to 100 people and you might get 3 people who know what the fuck you're talking about.
I have no idea what the fuck he's talking
You have,
about.
you have 3 of us here.
It's a
None of us.
skateboarding movie starring Christian Slater.
Oh. How's he doing? That was,
If he's alive. If he's still alive, not good.
I had been tasteful this whole time. Or had I? Yeah, I love the score. John Williams doesn't really make bad scores at all. He and Hans Zimmer just can't do no wrong in my eyes. So
All right. So do you have anything else, John, you want to close out with this movie?
not really. I do like how when they asked him how much he was making as the contractor or whatever, he's like $19 an hour. And I like how that was like a lot in 2004.
Oh my God.
Like a guy who's managing the entire airport
McDonald's
doesn't
people,
make that?
want for minimum wage now, which you shouldn't get. But we're not getting political.
Get political on our next podcast when we have you on.
I would have one more change. I probably would have added because it's just under 2 hours, but I probably would have added 10 minutes just to kind of give a little more Victor backstory because you don't really know what he does, what kind of family he's had or anything. What his relationship is with his father. You don't really know that.
I think it comes from a culture where the son is supposed to honor the father. That's what he's trying to do is
Benny Golson.
Correct the promise that he made.
Well, you don't know if his dad used to beat him to that music. So his dad could still be alive.
Beatings are good in Krakosha.
He's like,
I'm going to get beat when I get home if I don't get this signature.
Fucking asshole.
Fucking asshole.
fuck you in the asshole if I don't come home.
Eat shit.
What was your dick thing that you said dick in the bathroom? What was it? And is that
I don't know. I don't know.
You want to
half
get
the-
dick down in bathroom. Eat shit. Eat shit.
oh my gosh.
I do like when Diego's like, eat shit. Just the way he says it makes me die every time. That's like when he throws the rolls down, like those 2 scenes just every time.
He hasn't done anything. I think he's only done other than like Star Wars. Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry. Did I say sorry?
Sorry. Oh, wow.
Sorry. What the fuck?
But he's only done like TV roles since then.
Who are you and where's
he
my
was
friend
in.
Justin?
He was in Dirty Dancing 2, Havana Nights.
That's not a movie.
Yes,
That
it
is-
is.
that should have
that
been a
makes
movie.
that makes my wife she doesn't listen to this podcast.
Was
but
this Mars Attack?
that movie gets my wife's panties wet as a mother.
Mars Attacks has the most cuss words in it.
Dirty Dancing 2?
Havana Nights.
Wow.
That's a
Yeah. That's
He was in Milk.
Diego Luna is her 1 through 5 on her celebrity she's allowed to fuck.
Is he laminated?
Oh. All right. Why is she with you then? All right. Anyways,
it's all about that dick.
John, we appreciate you coming on. We had fun. We'll definitely have you back here.
This was a chore.
Again.
He had to come all the way to Iowa.
I'll come up with a funner movie next time.
It was fun.
Here's a little something for you guys. For you guys who do not know who John Marshall is, he does like this trivia page, John Marshall Media Madness. Search it on Facebook. We'll leave a link in the description below. A lot of people really like that. It took off a lot better than I thought it would.
I get annoyed with it because
I mean, there's some.
I think they don't understand that they have to make it on the spot type of thing. Like most of the things, I think they vote for everything. I don't vote for anything I don't watch. So it's like, yeah. So things are going to change, and I love the fact of that. But Media Madness trivia, Marshall Media Madness.
Yep. On Facebook.
And our next episode 005 of the BPT movie review, we're going to be doing my movie pick, which is going to be the 2006 movie Alpha Dogs. Justin Timberlake, Emile Hirsch,
can't wait.
Bruce Willis, it's an all-star cast. It's going to be a fun review. Again, John, thank you for being out here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Lonnie, Justin, we're going to be doing this again next week. So we'll see you then. And for everybody else, be kind to one another and watch movies.
Oosh. Just ooshed your podcast.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This concludes our broadcast day. Click.